Great day, everybody! Welcome to my YouTube channel. Otis Redding Jr. entered this world on September 9, 1941, in Dawson, Georgia. A couple of years later, his family moved to Macon, where he spent his early stages in an unassuming family. As the fourth of 6 youngsters and the oldest child, his melodic desires started at 7 years old as he wound up singing gospel songs. Furthermore, he played the drums in the congregation where his dad directed. As a teen, he wandered into the music scene, drawing motivation from Little Richard, one more Macon local, who had rose to take care of business fame. Otis' gift drove him to win a noteworthy 15 ability shows straight, storing up the $5 prize cash each time. His victory even pushed some rivalry coordinators to banish him from taking part further. With the end goal of giving others an opportunity to sparkle, he ran into Johnny Jenkins, a self-educated guitarist who stretched out a challenge to join his blues group known as the Pine Climbers. Their music immediately turned into the discussion of Focal, Georgia, and Otis procured the standing of being Macon's best anyway, notwithstanding their underlying achievement. The gathering's process was momentary, coming full circle in their possible disbandment in 1959. Otis met Patricia Atwood 2 years after the fact. They wedded at last, inviting 3 kids into their carries-on with the obligations of everyday life. Just developed his purpose to seek after a vocation in music driven by a deep yearning to accommodate his friends and family. He dared to Los Angeles. In quest for a recording vocation, delivering singles that neglected to get momentum, confronted with dissatisfactions, he got back a year after the fact, working different random temp jobs that demonstrate. Ed Impractical in 1962, his way changed when Johnny Jenkins' chief concocted an arrangement. Johnny would be shipped off Memphis, with Otis who would drive him there. The objective was for Otis to get seen by the prestigious soul music name Stax Records. Luckily, somebody at Stax tuned it in and was significantly dazzled with Otis' vocals. Under 48 hours after the fact, his life went through a groundbreaking second when he marked an agreement. His single, These Arms of Mine, turned into a moment hit denoting the beginning of a famous profession. Before long, Otis's ascent to distinction was fairly continuous. He didn't encounter similar degree of progress with his resulting singles as he did with These Arms of Mine. In 1964, he delivered his presentation collection Torment in My Heart, highlighting the recognition front of Sam Cooke's You Send Me, communicating his profound regard for Cooke, whom he respected from youth. As the collection had a sluggish beginning, it was only after weeks after its delivery that Otis, with the assistance of co-essayist Jerry Stewart, recorded and delivered the single I've Been Cherishing You, too lengthy a tune that would turn into his particular song. Besides the fact that Otis making was music, he likewise practiced his business sharpness by laying out 2 organizations, Jodas and Redwall, in both 1965 and 1966. He delivered 2 collections and delighted in additional accomplishments with accounts that lit the spirit music scene, including tracks, for example, Regard I Can't Set You Free, Mr. Sad, and Attempt a Little Delicacy, which highlights one of the best horn openings in music history. It's also where Otis flawlessly mixes a sluggish love melody, working in a powerful peak until he gets the party started like a minister. Please music with his freshly discovered abundance. Otis liberally imparted his prosperity to his loved ones, buying a farm total with a lake, a 3-story home, ponies, pigs, dairy cattle, and a pool. As his visiting plan around the U.S. turned out to be really exhausting, he obtained his own special twin motor plane to work with a more loosened-up plan that made them work at home in Macon or Memphis during the week and doing shows on the ends of the week. He even had tentative arrangements to develop a runway on his farm for added comfort. Otis' distinction started to stretch out a long way past the United States as he sent off effective visits all through Canada, the Caribbean, and Europe, with quite music symbols like the Beatles. Tom Jones and Bar Stewart went to his shows in 1967. He cooperated with songstress Carla Thomas for a 2-part harmony collection named Ruler and Sovereign. Following quite a while of energetic and extreme exhibitions, the consistent type of his voice negatively affected his vocal strings, bringing about the improvement of polyps to forestall long-haul harm. He went through a medical procedure. Following the activity, he was unable to represent 14 days and shunned singing for a month and a half. According to his physician's instructions during this time of recuperation, Otis kept on communicating his inventiveness. By playing the guitar and composing tunes, he made a victorious revisitation of work, with a voice sounding over and above anyone's expectations, keep almost 30 melodies his most memorable week back in the studio. To go with him on future visits, he employed a gifted gathering of teens from Memphis, Tennessee, known as the Bar Case, to be his moving band in the second few days of December. Otis and the gathering embraced a string of gigs. On Saturday, December 9th, they showed up in Cleveland, Ohio to perform on Playful, a melodic theatrical presentation, and at Leo's Gambling Club, a club that consistently reserved the top demonstrations of that period. The following day, on December 10th, Otis and the band were booked to perform at the Production Line Club in Madison, Wisconsin, for 2 shows, with Otis normally possessing the co-pilot seat. The airplane's traveler region had space for just 5 people. Considering the incorporation of the band's hardware in the weight estimation, individuals from the Bar Case, who couldn't fit for the most part, alternated flying financially. On this game-changing day, the weather patterns were unsafe, described by heavy downpour and thick haze in both Cleveland. What's more, Wisconsin, subsequent to being in the air for north of 2 hours. At roughly 3:25 p.m., the little airplane ran wild and collided with Lake Monona, only 3 miles from its expected landing spot at the Madison Air Terminal. The sad mishap brought about the deficiency of all lives on board, with the exception of one. A close-by occupant of Lake Monona heard the accident and considered specialists, who answered quickly in a police boat. The last one standing, trumpet player Ben Cawley, figured out how to remain above water utilizing a seat pad from the plane, until help showed up 17 minutes after the fact. As per specialists who aided the salvage endeavor, jumpers couldn't be in that frame of mind for over 15 minutes at a time due to its frigid temperature, and they reported that an individual without protected scuba gear wouldn't live longer than 20 minutes or so in the cold water. Otis' body was recovered a day after an examination by the Public Transportation Security. Loader found that the reason for the mishap was still up in the air, as the left motor in the propeller was never recovered. Moreover, the plunging effect of the plane raising a ruckus around town quickly broke the greater part of its fuselage into unrecognizable garbage on that Sunday evening. When the pilot, 26-year-old Richard Frazier, showed up at Cleveland Hopkins Air Terminal, he was educated by the workforce that most business flights had been grounded because of unfriendly climate conditions. It was unequivocally suggested that he not fly the contracted airplane. Moreover, during the plane's stock check with a technician, it was found that the battery power was low, in spite of these advance notice signs and Otis' steady obligation to keep his timetable. Frazier, who had just flown 118 hours in a twin-motor airplane, with the vast majority of that time signed in a lighter and less strong Cessna 310, chose to continue to their objective just a short time before the plane accident. Otis had modeled for this now notorious photograph, strolling before his plane with a guitar close by, showing up really pleased. Only days before his demise, while sitting on a dock in Sausalito, California, Otis composed his notable tune, The Dock of the Cove. The melody was delivered after his death and turned into the principal post-mortem #1 record on both the announcement Hot 100 and R&B diagrams in 1968. Otis was ready for the best year of his profession, with appearances planned at various scenes and on a few significant telecom companies. He got many after-death honors, including 2 Grammy grants and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Grant in 1999. He was after death drafted into different corridors of distinction, including the Stone Lobby by the melodic legend he once admired. I won't say that the breeze is mean this evening, the champ's Otis Reddings, and we need to bring Otis and his loved ones up here. I believe they're here to get this extraordinary honor. In 1993, the U.S. Postal Service respected his heritage with a postage stamp, and in 2002, a dedication sculpture was disclosed in Macon, Georgia. Otis Redding's strong voice and deep articulation remained a remarkable piece of music history, from a little church to the worldwide stage. He had a never-ending effect on the universe of music and will be for the rest of time celebrated as a genuine legend and trailblazer of Seoul. Much obliged to you for watching this video.